What if you're a sailor, journeying through stormy waters, and out of nowhere, a phantom ship appeared in the distance? Would you consider it an omen, a trick of the light, or something supernatural? Could you explain what you'd seen, or would it haunt you forever? Hello and welcome to today's episode of Paranormal Pursuits. I'm your host, Shinjan. Hope you're all doing well, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Now imagine the scene. The sea is calm, but a strange unease grips the crew. Suddenly out of the mist, a ghostly ship appears, its tattered sails billowing in a wind that doesn't seem to exist. The crew murmurs in fear. Could this be the legendary Flying Dutchman? The legend of the Flying Dutchman has long captured the imaginations of sailors and storytellers alike, blending mystery, superstition, and science in a tale of eternal wandering. Throughout history, sailors navigating the waters near Cape Town's Cape of Good Hope have shared chilling tales of encountering a ghostly vessel doomed to sail forever. Could this be a story born out of fear and isolation? Or is there a natural explanation behind these sightings? The phenomenon tied to these waters has puzzled sailors and intrigued storytellers for centuries. It is the harbinger of disaster for anyone who encounters it. Is the tale of the Flying Dutchman merely a sailor's story to explain the unexplainable? Or could there be a scientific phenomenon behind these ghostly sightings? And why does this particular legend, tied so strongly to the waters around Cape Town, still hold sway over our imagination? In this episode of Paranormal Pursuits with Shinjan, we'll navigate the murky waters of this infamous maritime legend, from the chilling story of his origins to the tales of cursed sailors and ghostly sightings. We'll explore it all. So set sail with me as we unravel the mystery of the Flying Dutchman. It's a journey you won't want to miss. The legend of the Flying Dutchman begins in the stormy waters of the Cape of Good Hope, a treacherous stretch of ocean where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans collide. During the 17th century, this route was vital for trade ships of the Dutch East India Company connecting Europe with the riches of Asia. But these waters, while a gateway to fortune, were perilous with sudden storms, jagged rocks, and unpredictable currents claiming countless vessels. Imagine yourself as a sailor during this time, embarking on voyages that could span months or even years. Each journey was a gamble, with riches waiting at one end and potential doom lurking at the other. At the heart of the legend is a ship captained by Hendrik van der Decken. As the tale goes, Van der Decken was a fearless and stubborn seafarer. One fateful day, while attempting to go round the Cape in the face of a fierce storm, his crew begged him to turn back. Ignoring their pleas, he swore an oath to God that he would complete the journey, no matter the cost, even if it meant sailing for eternity. His hubris, it said, cursed him and his ship to wander the seas forever, never reaching a safe harbor. Some historians suggest that the story may have originated as a cautionary tale among sailors, a way to warn against arrogance and the folly of challenging nature. Others believe it reflects the fear and uncertainty that mariners faced during the age of exploration, where the line between the known and unknown often blurred. These were times when superstitions ruled the seas, and every shadow or strange occurrence could be imbued with meaning. To paint a vivid picture, consider the ships of the 17th century, towering masts, creaking wood, and the ever-present danger of storms. Sailors faced not just natural perils, but also scurvy, isolation, and the fear of mutiny. It's no wonder legends like the Flying Dutchman emerged, offering a way to rationalize the irrational and give voice to their deepest fears. The story of the Flying Dutchman spread quickly, capturing imaginations far beyond the Cape of Good Hope. By the 19th century, it had cemented its place in folklore and inspired countless adaptations. One of the most notable interpretations came from German composer Richard Wagner, whose opera, The Flying Dutchman, reimagines the captain as a tragic figure, cursed until he can find true love. Wagner's rendition brought a romanticized yet haunting tone to the tale, ensuring its place in the cultural consciousness. But this is not just a story for operas and history books. Over the centuries, sailors have reported sightings of a ghostly ship in the waters of Cape Town, adding eerie credibility to the tale. These sightings have kept the legend alive, intertwining history with the supernatural, and leaving us to wonder, was there ever a real Flying Dutchman, or is it merely the product of a mariner's vivid imagination?
Boo! Just popping in to make sure you're still with us. It's me, Ghastly Gary, your friendly neighborhood ghost. I've been haunting these podcast airwaves since I wandered into a mysterious audio vortex one eerie night. Now, I stick around to keep things spooky and fun. If you're enjoying the chilling tales so far, stick around until the end. I've got a few ghostly giggles and some important news to share. And remember, the real chills are always in the details. So keep those ears open and stay curious, my spectral friends. All right, I'll float back into the shadows for now. But don't forget, I'll be back at the end of the episode with a special message just for you. Now, on with the show.
Now, according to me, the legend of the Flying Dutchman is more than just a historical tale. It's a living story, bolstered by accounts of eerie encounters on the high seas. Among the most famous sightings is one recorded by none other than the Prince George of Wales, later King George V. In 1881, while sailing near the Cape of Good Hope, the Prince and several crew members witnessed a mysterious ship glowing in the red light. The phantom ship was destined for crashing into King George's ship, but as they approached, the vessel vanished, leaving them all rattled and bewildered. Stories like this have persisted for centuries, often describing the ghostly ship appearing in rough weather, its tattered sails moving against the wind. Sailors claim that encountering the Flying Dutchman is a bad omen, foretelling disaster. Ships that see it are said to meet with misfortune, wreckage, mutiny, or mysterious disappearances. One chilling account comes from a 20th century cargo ship whose captain reportedly saw a phantom vessel on the horizon during a storm. The ship appeared to be heading straight for them, but as the crew prepared for a collision, the vision vanished into thin air. Later, the captain described it as stuff of nightmares, a ship that did not belong in this world. Such stories have inspired countless works of fiction, from Samuel Taylor Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner to the blockbuster Pirates of the Caribbean films, where the Flying Dutchman is reimagined as a cursed ship with a captain bound to the depths. These representations magnify the terror of the original legend while giving it a broader cultural appeal. I mean, who doesn't like Pirates of the Caribbean? It's fun, right? But also scary, especially when the Flying Dutchman comes around. However, what makes these sightings truly fascinating is how often they occur near the Cape of Good Hope. Known for its dramatic weather and rugged beauty, this area is the nexus of the Flying Dutchman myth. Sailors navigating these waters have long reported strange lights, phantom ships, and an unsettling sense of being watched. Phenomena that seem to blur the line between the natural and the supernatural. Interestingly, similar phenomena have been reported in other parts of the world. In the Arctic, explorers have documented instances of ghostly ships appearing on the horizon. The Great Lakes in North America have their share of phantom ship stories as well. These global parallels lend an air of universality to the mystery, suggesting that what we see may often depend on where we are looking from. So as we know, the ghostly sightings of the Flying Dutchman have captured imaginations for centuries, but could there be a scientific explanation for this maritime mystery? Of course it could be. One of the most compelling theories lies in the phenomenon known as Fata Morgana. Fata Morgana is a complex form of a mirage that occurs when layers of air at different temperatures create distortions. These distortions can make distant objects appear closer, stretched, or even floating above the water. It's a common occurrence over oceans and large bodies of water, like the Great Lakes, where the horizon can play tricks on the eye. Under the right conditions, a ship just out of sight could appear ghostly, its reflection shimmering like an apparition in the mist. Cape Town, a place intrinsically tied to the legend of the Flying Dutchman, is an ideal location for such phenomena. The dramatic weather and oceanic conditions near the Cape of Good Hope makes it a hot spot for Fata Morgana. Sailors navigating these waters, already on edge due to the region's treacherous reputation, may have been primed to see what they feared most, a cursed ship emerging from the fog. Similar phenomena have been documented in the Mediterranean, where distant islands sometimes appear to be hovering above the water. In Alaska, boats and even entire landscapes have been seen as floating illusions, leading to local lore about ghostly appearances. The science behind this phenomena is fascinating, but it's easy to see how such illusion could fill stories of the supernatural. Now, I have to say that psychological factors also or could play a role. Life at sea is isolating and stressful, and the human mind is adept at filling gaps in perception with familiar stories. So if a sailor glimpsed an unusual sight, the fear and superstition could lead them to believe they had encountered the dreaded Flying Dutchman. Over time, such accounts would be shared and embellished, adding to the legend. There's also the possibility of atmospheric reflections, where light bends over the horizon, creating the illusion of ships that don't exist. But you might say that even with these explanations, the mystery lingers. Why do such phenomena happen so frequently near the Cape of Good Hope? And why do they often resemble the Flying Dutchman? Is there more to the story? Something science can't yet explain? Or does our fascination with the unknown keep these tales alive? For me, the answer is quite simple. I believe that the Flying Dutchman is a legend, and nothing more but a legend. Fata Morgana clearly explains why such a thing can happen. Now imagine being a 17th century, 18th century sailor, where you don't have access to the scientific knowledge that we have today. Obviously, to them, it will appear to be a ghost ship. But what is undeniable is the allure of the Flying Dutchman. The story has transcended its maritime origins to become a cultural icon, inspiring operas, novels, and films. But I'd go further than that and say that it's more than a work of fiction. It's a reflection of humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown, a symbol of the perils of hubris, and a reminder of the power of nature. For those brave enough to venture near the Cape of Good Hope, the legend offers an opportunity for discovery. And if you visit Cape Town, you'll find that the city embraces this maritime lore. The Victoria and Alfred waterfront is a great place to start, offering historical tours that delve into the region's rich seafaring past. Nearby, the Cape Point Nature Reserve provides breathtaking views of the ocean, where you might just catch a glimpse of a ghostly ship on the horizon, or perhaps a perfectly natural mirage. So let me know, will you be brave enough to be wanting to explore this? I know I would, but I also think that the natural forces are more scary than the paranormal ones in this case. Or perhaps you have already experienced something like this. If you have, share your experiences with me and I can share with our listeners. Remember that this podcast is for all our listeners to come together to explore, challenge, and understand the paranormal. I'll look forward to your input. But until then, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, sometimes the most extraordinary mysteries lie just beyond the horizon.
Boo! Oh, don't be scared, it's just me, Ghastly Gary, popping in to say thanks for hanging out with us on today's episode of Paranormal Pursuits with Shinjan. Did you enjoy it? I sure did. Nothing like a good ghost story to make a ghost feel alive. You know what I mean. Now, before you go floating off into the night, I've got a few favors to ask. You see, I've got a haunted family to support. My little ghostlings are growing up so fast, and my dear wife, Phantom Phyllis, says I need to bring home more ectoplasm. So, here's the deal. First, if you liked the episode, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next spooky adventure, and it'll help keep my haunted house in top shape. Second, share this podcast with your friends, family, and even that one weird neighbor who talks to their plants. They might be into the paranormal too. The more listeners we have, the more haunted fun we can conjure up. And finally, if you're feeling extra generous, why not buy Shinjan a coffee? You see, keeping this podcast running is hard work, and every little bit helps. Plus, my ghost kids are always asking for the latest in invisible toys. You wouldn't want to disappoint them, would you? Oh, and don't forget, all the details for buying that coffee and following us on social media are in the episode description. It's easier than finding your way through a haunted house in the dark, I promise. Remember, stay curious, stay safe, and always keep questioning the unknown. You never know what mysteries you might uncover next. This is Ghastly Gary, signing off. Thanks for your support, and until next time, I'll be watching, in a totally non-creepy ghostly way, of course.